Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
This view from our Storm Team Skycam will take on a whole new look by the end of this week. There's some wintry weather headed our way, a lot of snow in some cases, and that could impact how you're getting out of town or even coming back. Let's get the latest from Hutch in your No Wait weather. Hutch?
Andrea, thank you so much. Since last week, we've been making sure that you are aware of the chance for some snow as we work our way through the holiday season. Now, the good news is before the holidays on Wednesday, in fact, even tomorrow, Tuesday, we're going to get some snow in our region, but it won't directly strike us here in the valley. Even the flakes that we have tonight starting to wind down. Here are the details, what you need to know about tomorrow. We got a storm system. It's taken shape in the Colorado Rocky Mountains right now, and it's beginning to develop, and it will move out towards southern Minnesota as we go through the overnight and mainly through the day tomorrow. So while we'll get clouds and we'll get a few flakes of snow, our neighbors to the south, including some pretty important travel hubs in Denver and Minneapolis, if you happen to be flying through there or have relatives that do, keep up to date with the very latest with regards to cancellations of flights and the like, because as we go through the day on Wednesday, the snow will pile up down south to the tune of 6 to 12 inches from this system. For us, it looks like a very quiet night, and in Grand Forks, equally as quiet. We will have clouds and a few flurries, but nothing to be concerned about. Andrea, here's what you need to know. As we go through and into the weekend beyond the holiday, if you have relatives that are either returning home or you yourself are traveling, we'll have the details you'll need to know about the forecast this weekend. A storm will impact us directly. I'll have more on that in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Hutch. And make sure you have the Valley News Live Storm Team weather app so that you can keep up with the weather anytime, anywhere. You'll get the latest forecasts and conditions so that you can plan your day. If you're out of town, don't worry. The VNL app works wherever you are. Just search VNL Weather in the App Store and download it for free. School leaders at Horizon West Middle School in Moorhead are breathing a sigh of relief after a handwritten threat by a student is deemed not credible. Moorhead Public Schools issued a statement saying that it takes all threats seriously and investigates them. It says the safety and security of students and staff of Moorhead Area Public Schools is our primary concern. Administration and the school resource officer investigated this incident immediately using the Cass Clay Unified Response Threat Assessment Protocol. That threat assessment, which includes a search, deemed that the threat was not credible and appropriate action has been taken. An investigation is underway at Woodrow Wilson High School after one student is suspended for having drugs and a BB gun at school. Officials say it happened this morning after a student reported smelling marijuana in the bathroom. After an investigation of school footage, officials found the student to question, and during the search, authorities found an unloaded BB gun and marijuana gummies. The student's parents were contacted, and the student was taken into police custody without incident. School leaders have suspended the student pending potential further action. A Minnesota student from International Falls Middle School is now in jail after he was accused of making a bomb threat. Officials say the Koochiching County Attorney's Office is reviewing the case and deciding whether to issue a juvenile delinquency petition against the 12-year-old. School leaders say he could have had a detention hearing today in juvenile court to determine whether he should continue to be held. Authorities say the threat was made on November 18th. A Grand Forks man is issued a citation after mishandling his gun and accidentally firing it within his apartment. Officials say it happened around 2:50 this evening when Grand Forks police responded to the call of a discharge of a firearm. When officers arrived on scene, 24-year-old Jesse Rich notified police that he mishandled a handgun inside the residence when a round was discharged. Nobody was injured during that incident. The North Dakota Game and Fish Department is investigating two poaching incidents from over the weekend, one in Zeeland and another in rural Burleigh County, where a farmer says he found two deer carcasses hung on his posts around his land. Today, Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter, Bailey Hurley, talked with neighbors as well as experts on what to do if something like this happens to you. And a warning, some of the photos you're about to see are graphic.
A Sunday drive to church was met with shock for Carrie and her husband.
I've not ever seen it so blatantly and unethically displayed like that.
Their neighbor finding 2 deer carcasses draped over the posts on his private land, leaving a bad taste in his mouth when it comes to hunters on his property.
And that breaks my heart for everybody that is a great hunter, loves to ethically hunt, you know, is respectful of those landowners. But it just takes one bad apple where everybody just really gets fed up with having people trespass.
The incident is now at the center of a North Dakota Game and Fish investigation, something Doug Lear says isn't easy for the department.
Somebody gets their carcass beat up in downtown Fargo, you can go talk to their friends, you can go talk to who else was at the bar. A deer gets left on a post, and unless somebody says something, you can't talk to next of kin or, you know, nobody who saw that deer the night before.
Lear says it's important to treat poaching and land trespassing as you would any other serious crime you might come across in the city, jotting down details and calling authorities as soon as you can.
Time is of the essence, and it's much better to call and to find out that no, what you saw wasn't actually, it may not have been a violation that had taken place, but we would definitely rather have people pick up the phone and call.
Lear also says it's important for hunters to pay attention to signs, even if it's land you've hunted before.
If you don't know, don't go.
But Carrie adds, just because property is posted doesn't mean landowners won't let you hunt either.
We just really want to know who is out there so we can kind of help manage where they should go so we don't even have them in the same spots.
Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Game and Fish says in 2018 there were 54 cases of hunting on land without permission and 6 cases of poaching. They urge you to call your local sheriff's office or the poaching hotline if you see something in your area. That hotline number is 1-800-472-2121. Authorities are still searching for answers as they continue to clean up train cars that went off the tracks, spewing grain into the ditches near Ulen, Minnesota. Dispatch says the call for the derailment came in around 1 this morning. Burlington Northern said local authorities were not needed since the National Transportation Safety Board was notified. There are no reports of any injuries, and it's unknown why the train went off the tracks. The Walsh County Sheriff's Department is asking for the public's help in finding a missing man. Michael Eidenschink left his house in Park River yesterday around noon. The Sheriff's Department believes he went fishing or hunting around Fordville and then never came back. He left in a gray Chevy Avalanche with North Dakota license plates 066ABP. If you have any information, call law enforcement. A young boy who plunged 3 stories when he was thrown from a balcony at the Mall of America is now walking perfectly. That comes from an update on an online fundraising website dedicated to 5-year-old Landon, seen here before the April attack inside the Minnesota Mall. Landon was with his family when a stranger grabbed him, throwing him over the 3rd-story balcony. Landon suffered critical injuries, finally leaving a hospital in August. He returned home with a limp and uneven legs from a 2-time broken femur, according to the online post. And now, after a lot of physical therapy, is walking perfectly, the limp gone. The man who threw Landon, Emmanuel Aranda, pleaded guilty to attempted murder and was sentenced to 19 years in prison. A dispute between President Trump and top military leadership took a dramatic turn over the weekend, ending with the firing of the Navy's top official. Bofta Yiman has the latest from Washington.
Defense Secretary Mark Esper says President Trump gave him a direct order to allow a Navy SEAL accused of war crimes to retire without losing his elite status and the pin that symbolizes it.
I spoke to the president on Sunday. He gave me the order that Eddie Gallagher will retain his trident.
That news comes the day after Esper fired Navy Secretary Richard Spencer for going behind his back to the White House to resolve Edward Gallagher's case.
I asked for Secretary Spencer's resignation because of the loss in trust and confidence after what transpired these last several days.
President Trump had come to Gallagher's defense after he was demoted for posing with the corpse of an ISIS fighter. And at the White House Monday, he reaffirmed that support.
He was a great fighter. He was one of the ultimate fighters. Tough guy. These are not weak people. These are tough people. And we're going to protect our war fighters.
The Navy Secretary had publicly called for Gallagher to face disciplinary hearings. He said he would follow the president's orders, but his resignation letter implied a disagreement on principle. He wrote, "I cannot in good conscience obey an order that I believe violates the sacred oath I took." President Trump thanked Spencer for his service, but said in a tweet that he was not pleased with the way the Navy handled the Gallagher case. The firing capped a day in which Gallagher appeared on Fox News and criticized his superior officers.
This is all about ego and retaliation. This has nothing to do with good order and discipline.
Gallagher will now be allowed to retire at the end of the month in his current rank as a Navy SEAL. Bofta Imam, CBS News, Washington.
President Trump says he will nominate the U.S. ambassador to Norway to take over as Navy Secretary. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas outside the nation's capital. The Capitol Christmas tree arrived this morning. The 60-foot blue spruce, a behemoth of a tree, weighing nearly 5 tons when it was cut and measuring 68 years old. It made the long journey from the land of enchantment, the state of New Mexico, from Carson National Forest on November 6th.
Our Capitol Grounds and Arboretum team will spend the next several days decorating the tree with thousands of LED lights and hanging thousands of ornaments, handcrafted from recycled material by the children and other New Mexico communities.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will light the tree December 4th during a ceremony on the west front lawn. The tree will then be lit from nightfall until 11 p.m. Eastern each evening through January 1st of 2020. It's a sight to see at the Fargo Dome as Fraser brings back the Festival of Trees. This is the 19th year with 162 uniquely decorated trees by local businesses and organizations. These trees will be going to families who may not be able to afford a tree this year.
This community is such a giving community, and it's an opportunity for Fraser as a fundraiser, but also an opportunity for us to be able to give back to those in need.
Fraser will also be hosting Cookies with Claus this Friday. The event is free at the Fargo Dome, where kids can meet Santa, decorate cookies, and then burn off some holiday energy in the bouncy houses.